Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shilpa, and I welcome everyone to the launch of Project Marvel, the mid-corporate credit underwriting engine. Today, we've all gathered here today where we witness us taking another step towards utilizing technology, not just for improving our processes, but also providing us more avenues where we can achieve our one bank, one ROE dream. A lot of us who have underwritten credit would agree that credit is a mix of both art and science. Here, what we're trying to do is delegate the science bit to technology while we focus on what we humans do best, the art of providing intelligent judgment. In this project, which we are launching today, we are working on the premise of a deeper penetration into the client ecosystem, where we want to have a calibrated risk profile, plus a healthy, stable, and a collateral back booked. We've also taken another step towards decongestion of the RM's bandwidth, and in turn, that will also result in an improved client experience. With that brief introduction, I would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Nair, the head of Mid Corporate Group, to please take us through our journey of the Marvel.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the world of Marvel. A lot of you asked me about the name when we were standing here. It so happened that when we were discussing this with McKinsey, the name itself, when the project was getting named, there were several names which were constrained by trying to do it with I. Then finally, they came up with this name which had an acronym also attached to it, and I think it somewhere has a sense of explaining what we will stand for in the future and the vision that all the senior management of the bank has laid out for us to achieve. So with those few words, I want to say that this is a very, very collaborative effort which we are going to see launched today with the hands of our MD and CEO, which is the Project Marvel. It is essentially a credit engine which is developed. So while doing the journey itself, we first thought that we should end up having certain key principles, and the key principles of digitization which were laid down and sort of approved by the steering committee, which was chaired by Vishaka. What we did was to see that indeed we try to integrate as much as possible with what is there internal. The external part is still pending as we launch the project, but internally, however much we can integrate, we have tried to do. The second piece is that can we give time to the RM to be able to engage in sort of analyzing the the output rather than trying to make the note. The time spent in doing that will be sort of saved in this. So that was one aim, the principle that we had. Apart from that, the engine will itself have certain data which is collected, and data for the future also is being collected, which will enable us to do future analytics as we build. It's not about today, it's about 3 years down the line also we should be able to use that. And finally, the assessment should be objective and the data access should be available to everyone independently. So I envision a time that risk should walk into anybody's office to say that actually, good or bad, the news should be given independently rather than depending on business to give the data. I think that journey will happen as we pass. So these were the pillars in which the digitization process was thought through. So therefore the engine Marvel. Now the name itself has efficient lending in it, which to us means that we have to be granular. We have to ensure that return of capital is done and it is adequately collateralized. Plus, of course, without any profits, there is no business. So we have to have a sustainable operating profit which is made throughout. Now, there were two key pillars under which the engine will operate. And that is, the first is the credit underwriting itself, which is the heart of the sort of the workflow, which will enable us to sort of give a specific rating, which in this segment was missing, because we were doing programs and we were getting one rating for all borrowers. Therefore, here we will be able to price the risk adequately, and which is one of the things which will help us grow this business in future. Plus, it will give us standardization of how we operate. Currently, we were discussing in the morning and 40 of us were there in the room. I felt that if I have to onboard a new person into my team, I will give my view of the processes, whereas the other 39 people also will give their own views of the processes. With this engine, we will have one view of the process on how to onboard. That will itself give us a leverage in the way we will operate. The second piece is to actually go into the process and the machine itself, the workflow. Here we have reduced the manual interventions to a great extent. There are pre-populated fields. It is speaking to car, for instance. Those fields will have to, so the teams which are listening in, you have to make car pure and with data which is genuine. So that should be the aim rather than having any kind of junk, because if we have junk in, it will be junk out. So it will also help us to do parallel processing along with credit team, because credit team will be able to see. So the TATs, etc. can be well sort of judged. The final piece on this is that there will be Excel uploads, because we deal with the customers through Excel documents. So the workflow itself will have Excel uploads, which will be a seamless feature to be able to sort of onboard clients in the future. When we look at it, that this is just a beginning of the journey, because I think while we have envisioned a path clearly till this time, but we need to do these three things to be really at the cutting edge of sort of technology in this wholesale banking segment. And that is, first we should be able to crack the GST code. What I mean by the GST code is not only turnover validation, but be able to simulate a P&L in the future based on the data we get. And that is a challenge we have to take up today so that we are ready for tomorrow. Plus, the renewal process, in fact, there was a discussion yesterday as well on the renewal process. I think in the next 30 days, we have to come to a process wherein we can have straight pass cases to a great extent, but where we also decide on the exit at the time of renewal. So those two pillars will have to come into play, and it should be a continuous process which we have rather than being an annual ritual. If we can achieve that, it will greatly expedite firstly going to the customer and onboarding new customers, because that is the goal of this team. And final thing is that if we can integrate to external systems, that is something which is pending, and I'm happy that Risk is working on a project which will give the entire WBG team a kicker in terms of its efficiencies, because if we are able to populate CMA automatically, which is available in the market, into the system and only analyze it, we'll get a different kind of a productivity which we will have in the future. Now, I want to take a pause and actually thank a lot of people who have contributed to this project, because the sense of time which was there in this project and the way people contributed, got together despite all the constraints they have, is amazing. I want to really say that Partho became the chief mentor for this project, and his time and again his inputs have really helped. He used to come in with such articulate thoughts that it has helped the engine, and the engine has become richer. So he led the team throughout the process. Then there was, of course, Gautam, who's sitting here, whose time is so valuable for us that when we have requested, he has really contributed, and best thing is signed off on the engine with a lot of passion, and we hope the delivery is like that. Vyom also, his team is validating the model as we speak for the data sets. Then the McKinsey team, and the ever smiling Aditya, I must say, has taken the burden, and a lot of sort of timeliness kind of follow-ups from my side, and some of you know that how we should manage time well, better than even what we did. But in this project, we are all just about 10 days late from the launch date which we chose earlier, which was February 3rd. Finally, I would like to say that even the PIVG team, Rajinder and team, vetted the data, because the engine will be only as good as the data we put into it to make the engine. So we went through that sort of a process to be able to vet the data. So I just express my gratitude because thank you very much. I wanted to take this pause to thank you all for this contribution. And finally, for the teams which are watching on VC as well as who are sitting here, I think attitude is everything. And some of you know that I love the game of tennis. So I want to choose a quote which gives me the mission for life in it. So if we have a approach to life which we see through the lens of sports, then actually these powerful lines said by Andre Agassi are so apt to sort of go forward and launch something like this. So thank you very much for your time and grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh, for taking us through the Marvel journey. I would like to now call upon Mr. Rennie Thomas, Senior Partner and Head of Financial Services at McKinsey India, to give us his perspective on the global technology trends in banking.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I mean, I can only marvel at what Rajesh has done here, right? I think his charming, kind of convincing part. I mean, I feel like I'm in a soccer stadium right now with all of these screens and with such a big turnout. So, Rajesh, really exceptional, getting everyone together, and I think the spirit of collaboration that's there. Rajesh talked about tennis, and I think in this group, for me to kind of give a speech on, what's happening globally at this point may not be very appropriate. So I decided to start with a video, and I'm shifting sports here. So if you can just play this video. So that was 18 seconds, 8 passes, 1 goal. So many ways, I think, a lot of what you saw here was around extreme teamwork, right? I mean, even the last person who could have scored, you saw he kind of passed on. There was real speed, and more importantly, no friction, right? I mean, there was like the smoothest move that you can imagine. And eventually there was 1 goal. Literally, there was just 1 goal, and I mean, the whole team won based on that, right? And I think the bank has made a lot of shifts in a similar way. I think this notion of one operating profit, no individual stars, teamwork, everyone wins or no one does. Big shifts. The focus on granularity, data is huge, and I think a lot of this is at the cornerstone of all the shifts that this team is making here. And it is in many ways aligned with what's happening globally as well. I think corporate banking globally is going through, many markets are seeing mid single digit ROEs today in corporate banking. And I think the big push there is in really, looking at the full wallet, looking at data technology in a very unique way. For example, people are pushing scanning reams of trade finance documents using text mining to actually identify opportunities for sale. So huge shift in the way corporate banking is being done globally. And I think when we look at this, you might say, what's the big deal? It's an engine, right? And I think though this represents, in my view, a fairly epochal shift. I think the entire corporate landscape in India is going through a discontinuous shift. We had a period in which you had a very set of entrepreneurs. You kind of lent to them, and you lent to them because you felt they'd be there and they'll return the capital, right? I think what we've seen in the last 5 years is that entire landscape is changed. I think changed probably permanently, wherein you can no longer rely on saying that's the corporate is being around and we'll lend. We're shifting to much more of an institutional model. So I think our ability to rely a lot more on data to be able to make a decision, and not just that, probability of default holds for 12 months. We should be willing to actually say at the end of that 12 months, we might pull out if actually we believe for the next 12 months things are different. So we're shifting to a very different operating model, which is reliant on less judgment, some judgment of course, but the balance shifting to a lot more relying on data. The bad book, in my view, is a strategic asset, never wasted. Learn everything from it and improve the model, improve the underwriting engine, and that's a big thing to keep in mind. And I think the technical side of it, I'm sure the team is mastered. We're kind of almost there, and the mastery will actually continue, the learning will continue. But I think the other part of it is actually the shift in mindsets and the shift in how we think about this. This will require enormous teamwork between sales and credit. It will require enormous collaboration with technology. I think this is a multifunctional sport, and like we saw in the football game, I think it needs everyone to kind of team up to deliver this outcome as we look at this over the next several months and over the next year. I'm going to request my colleague Faridun. I mean, he's a partner in McKinsey, does a lot of work in the organizational and change, and has been doing a lot of sessions with the SME team, the mid-corporate team, as we're preparing to kind of roll out, launch, and so on. And he's probably going to share some interesting thoughts. Faridun.
Thank you. Can you hear me at the back? Great. I can just. So I think we spoke about sports, so let me bring them back, right? So when we think of collaboration, there are three types of teams that you can think of. One is a Davis Cup type team, where each person does their own stuff, and then you just add up the points. The other is like a relay race, where I do, oh, it's gone, so sorry. The other is a relay race, where I do something and then I hand it over to you and then to you. And the third is a soccer team, where everybody has to kind of very, very closely work together. So as you think about the Marvel journey, what type of collaboration will that need? Anyone, just shout out. Soccer? Only one person said soccer, so I'm just curious, maybe. Soccer, yeah. And soccer also is the most kind of difficult. It also means that only one person at a time can have the ball, right? The others have to kind of run with him, so you got to be ready to do that. Now, everyone knows that collaboration in organizations is important, regardless of the sector, industry, whatever. It's also very hard, right? So what we find is that it's one of the hardest things for organizations to really do. A couple of thoughts on that, and then we'll kind of move into interesting exercise. It's much more than just the lines and the boxes, right? So we try to fix it by putting different lines, boxes. It's much more about the informal networks, the way people actually kind of work together. And there's a very simple model that I'll share with you, which actually helps us to think about how to build collaboration. So what do you think is the foundation of collaboration? Any thoughts? Mutual respect. What else? Trust. So you're absolutely right. The foundation is actually trust. And we'll come to what we mean by trust. Only if we have trust will we be able to go to the next level, which is the ability to actually have constructive conflict. Because if I don't have trust, I'm never going to be able to have constructive conflict. Only if we have constructive conflict will we actually have true commitment. Otherwise, I'll just agree with whatever you're saying and then do whatever I want. Only if we have commitment will we have accountability. And only if we have accountability can we actually get results. It's kind of very straightforward. So the foundation is trust. So I want to spend some time on what does trust really mean, right? Because it means many different things, but I want us to have a common idea of what that means. So what I want you to do is to think in your mind of somebody that you trust a lot. It could be someone at home, it could be someone at work, whoever it is. And just share for 1 minute with your partner, what are the qualities that this person has that makes you trust them so much? So just go ahead and do that. Just a little bit of a sharing with your partner. You can turn to your partner, it's okay. Go ahead. What are the qualities that makes you trust them? What do they have that makes you trust them? Okay, so you had a chance to discuss. Let a few of you just shout out what you came up with. What are some of the qualities? Just shout them out. Integrity. Reliability. Respect. Love. Thinking beyond oneself. Honesty. Transparency, being open. relationship. Okay? So all these are correct. And let me share with you a simple model of trust. It's not the only model. There are many other models. But for our purpose today, this is a simple model of trust, which is that trust has actually four dimensions. The first is reliability, which is if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So if I say I'm going to come at 7 in the morning, I'm there. If I say this report will get done by Tuesday, it gets done. That's very easy. Acceptance, which is I accept you for who you are. So I'm not constantly trying to make you the way I want you to be, right? So I actually accept you for who you are. Openness, which is I'm open, transparent. I give you feedback openly. I say what I think, and I'm okay to listen to what you have to think, what you have to say. And finally, congruence, which is what I believe, feel, say, and do is all in sync, right? So I'm kind of completely in sync with what I have. So what I want you to do, last little exercise is, on your chairs, we had left a little sheet like this, right? In this one here. We had left a little sheet like this, which has these laid out. What I want you to do is rate yourself, not anyone else, on a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being the highest, across the 4 dimensions. But for each dimension, rate yourself both at work and at home. Okay? So both at work and at home. So I might say, like I've given an example here, someone might say I'm 5 at reliability at work, but 3 at home. So just rate yourself and write down your little scores. All right? If you need a pen, just raise your hand. We'll get you a... Sorry? 7 is the highest. 7 is the highest. There's some pens here if someone wants a pen. Just the 4, just the totals, like I've shown on the screen. Take another minute to do that.
People on the PC probably can just sketch it up.
Yeah, they can do that. They can see the screen. Yeah, they can just. All done? We need more time. All done? Yes or no? Yes? Yes? Okay, great. So what I want you to do is I want you to quickly share it with someone, but not someone sitting in the same row as you. So I want you to stand up and find someone in another row. So it's a standing exercise. You can't sit down anymore. So stand up, find someone, and just share what you scored yourself and why. So just share with each other. But you have to stand up and do that. So you have to move about a bit. So stand. It's a standing exercise, so. Yeah. No, just not what he's giving you. Just share with each other what you want to give each other feedback. You can do that. But that's not, like, yeah. Take another 30 seconds. Don't move, don't have to sit down, just stay where you are. And maybe someone can take a mic around, but anyone would like to share a little bit about what they discussed, right? So were you hired at home or work? Which one were you? Any thoughts, any reflections from anyone? Who'd like to share something? Let's hear from 2 or 3 people. This is on, it's on.
What we discussed about, firstly, this acceptance, reliability, openness, we discussed in context of at home or at work. Is there any difference? And in my partner's place, there is no difference. In my place, there is no difference. But we were a threesome, so we got third person who has a little bit of difference. So we were just discussing why there is a difference in certain situations. So that is one part which we discussed. Would you like me to open up the details also? Okay. At work or at home, so, one person, I'll not now name who, but okay, one person was taking liberty at home, so he was a little less open at home, but in work, he says that these are very transparent parameters, so we have to be open. So this is one part. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? 1 or 2 more people to share. Anyone from this side here? You look as if he wants to share something. No. Anyone? Yeah.
Now only we understand we are two. I am at least 2 different guys at both at work at home, and so the reliability scores are really poor at home, and the congruence and openness were high at home and then less at work. So it's an eye opener. Yeah.
Great. Anyone else wants to share? One last person? No? We may be someone from this side here. Anyone?
Acceptance at home is very high for me.
It's forced acceptance or this thing. So now that you have a little bit of a sense of these, right? Here's what's really important. Let's stay. Don't stand. Don't sit down because I'm going to make you move it. Which is, you agree all the 4 dimensions are important? Yes. But for each of us, right? For each of us, one of the dimensions tends to be a little more or a lot more important than the others. Right? So when I'm thinking of building trust with someone, for me, acceptance is really important. So it's very important that that person is very accepting of me. I'm okay if that person's not that reliable or not that open, but acceptance is really important for me. Similarly, I want you to think in your mind, for you, which is that one element that's a little more important or more important than the others? Okay? If that element, you've all thought in your mind? Yeah? If that element is reliability, and this is going to be a little tricky in terms of movement, I'd like you to come and stand in this corner here. So all the people for reliability, come and stand in this corner here. All those for whom acceptance is the most important, come and stand in this corner here, similar to what the page has. For all those who openness is the most important, stand in that corner there, and congruence in that corner there. So you'll have to come and stand in a corner. You can't stand in the middle. So the reliability guys are all coming here. You guys are the acceptance guys, right? Come. Acceptance, yeah. Openness is there at the back. You guys are all acceptance, right? Acceptance guys, yeah. Okay. There. The big one. Okay. That's congruence. Yeah? So just come a little closer. That's openness. Yeah? You guys are openness, right? You guys are openness, right? Yeah. Okay. And those are your congruence, right? Okay. So, this is our reliability. Yeah? So what do you observe? So what you observe is, what you can see from this is that you're not almost equally split, but you're split. Right? Reliability is the biggest, but there's a fair number of people in openness, a fair number of people in congruence, and a poor few people in acceptance. Right? Now here's what you need to be really aware of. That when we think of trust, we normally start to think of it from our lens. So you guys are going to look at them and say, how can I trust you if you don't do exactly what you say? And these guys are going to look at you and say, how can I trust you if you don't accept the fact that once in a while I'm a little late? Right? And similarly, those guys will look at them and say, how can I trust you if every time I give you some feedback, you freak out and you don't like it? So the point is that for each of us, trust means something different. And therefore, as you try to build trust in an organization, it's really important to be aware that trust means different things for different people, right? What trust is for you, which is pure reliability, is actually not necessarily the most important thing for them. It's not necessarily the most important thing for them, and so on and so forth. So if I just was to summarize what we kind of spoke about, it's 4 things. Trust is a skill that has to be mastered. So trust is not something that, there are 4 dimensions of trust, right? It's not that, oh, he's trustworthy. That doesn't really mean anything. It's a skill that has to be mastered. There are 4 dimensions: reliability, openness, acceptance, and congruence. Trust means different things to different people. There's no one, we all look at it through our own lens. And what we really need to be aware of while building trust in others or getting others to trust us is that what we think of as the most important for trust may not be what the others think. And therefore we need to be aware of that. So that's all I had to share with you. So with that, you can get back to your seats and let's move on to the next topic. Thank you. Thank you. Very well. Thank you.
Interesting session. I guess we're all thinking and deep diving into ourselves now. It is my honor now to request Mr. Sandeep Bakshi, MD and CEO, to please launch the Project Marvel, Mid-Corporate Accelerated Returns via Efficient Lending. Sir, we request your blessings and we request you to initiate the platform for digital lending for mid-corporate clients.
Serving the needs of Indian corporates has been a long-standing business focus for ICICI Bank. Needs of mid-corporate companies fall between those of large corporates and SMEs. ICICI Bank aims to double down on mid-corporates to further tap into the opportunity and growth in this space. Introducing Marvel, Mid-Corporate Accelerated Returns via Efficient Lending. Marvel focuses on 2 key areas: credit underwriting and process and technology. For credit underwriting, Marvel brings modular credit assessment, leveraging qualitative and quantitative aspects, granular underwriting at an individual customer level, uniform credit architecture across industries, and integration of internal and external data. For process and technology, Marvel brings digitized process, leaner ICOS workflow, and less manual entry with automated and pre-populated fields. How does that impact all of us? For the RM and credit team, simpler, faster, and efficient process. More time for customer-facing activities. Objectivity in credit assessment. For the customer, clearer expectation setting. Streamlined documentation requirement. For ICICI Bank, risk-calibrated growth. Marvel by ICICI Bank.
One of the most critical elements to lead this wave of change are the ambassadors who shall own this program. So the senior relationship managers and the credit team leaders are here with us today, who will be the role models who will actually drive this change in the ground. So we would like to felicitate the team members here, and I would request Mr. Sandeep Batra to please come on stage and felicitate the change champions and mentors. May I request the members of the South 1 zone, Shashwat Lal, Ranganathan, Anand, Mahita, Shankar, Sundarajan and Manoj to please come. May I request members of the West 1 zone, please. Members of the West 1 zone, Prashant Mohta, Vishal Mishra, Paras Modi, Saudamini Bhatt, Sushil Kumar, and Vishnu Goyal. Please come. May I request Mr. Anup Bagchi to please felicitate two zones, the change mentors and the change champions. Zone West 2, Mr. Ashish Bafna, Vikram Singhdeo, Shiv Kumar, Renu Chopra, members of North 1 zone, Vishnu Kant, Dimple Kumar, Vinay Agarwal, Jitendra Mehta, and Manoj Sahu. Thank you, sir. I now request Ms. Vishakha Wille to please come and felicitate the champions. Members of North 2 Zone, Sandeep Chhabra, Sunil Gupta, Vishnu Bodana, Suman Khandelwal, Manoj Garg, Nidhi Baswaha, and Kuldeep Dwivedi. Members of Zone East and South 2, Raman Agarwal, Astha Mothri, Renu Agarwala, and Pranay. Thank you, ma'am. And now the moment that we've all been waiting for, I would like to invite you, sir, to please share the stage with me and share your vision and perspective on the mid-corporate segment.
Thanks, Shilpa. Thanks to Mackenzie for making this day happen, and heartiest congratulations to the team ICICI, which has displayed all the qualities which, I think what you mentioned was something very, very sort of, I may say, thought-provoking. I think all these qualities were in display for this project to happen, so really want to thank and congratulate all my colleagues in the bank. See, the other day, one of these questions about discussions about economy is happening, and many a times the sound bites, have had sort of a tone of pessimism. But when we started to sort of look at the overall context, we realized that you have to look at the opportunity and really assess the economy in parts and see where the real issue is and what are the parts which are actually doing better than ever before. And as we started to sort of look at the various cuts, the first cut that came to one's mind was the services sector. Services is something which has been the reason why India has got transformed. And in a way, we looked at almost all the parts of services, the IT companies, as also the outsourcing that is happening, the knowledge, Deloitte setting up its mega facilities here, the multinational setting up their mega facilities, their salary uploads increasing by, in high teens over the last 5 years. So, in this ecosystem where you hear some pessimistic sound bites, there is this thriving part of the economy which is continuing completely unimpacted. Along with that, while there were sound bites on reality, you realize that commercial real estate linked to this part of the opportunity is actually thriving and doing so well. Then as you sort of move a little ahead, you realize that the government is such a big ecosystem, and that is another part where the government, the armed forces, the paramilitary forces, their numbers have been growing, the salary uploads there have been growing, their salaries are linked to inflation, the pensions are sort of, guaranteed, the jobs are secure. So that again is such a thriving ecosystem, such a secure ecosystem, which is moving, positively in terms of the opportunity. The third, I would say the good news also is that the agri, we have had a good rainfall, and the overall, I would say, mood in the agri or the rural part also. And this is something I was speaking to the agri team. Avijit was with his colleagues, and by and large, the feedback that one was getting is that there is a positive economic activity, and actually the ecosystem there is also moving directionally in a positive manner. The corporate sector, there has been so much spoken, corporate sector is spoken about, but look at how the corporates have transformed themselves over the last couple of years, and many of the corporates have now deleveraged themselves. There is an ecosystem around these corporates which have come out through this difficult phase. They have become efficient. Along with them, there is, I would say, a set of SMEs which are on their supply side. There are SMEs which are on the distribution side, which are doing reasonably well. There is one part of the ecosystem which is linked to, I would say, for various reasons, linked to the infrastructure, decision-making around infrastructure, payments around infrastructure, which has gone through, I would say, a stress. And the stress there has been very, very high. So it's a case of, I think what is basically tempered the whole mood is that the severity of, I would say, the impact where the economic activity has been sort of somewhat hurt, or the counterparties which have been associated with that part of the business have been hurt, is very, very severe. It's a high severity impact. And it's not all pervasive, but it's that high severity and the cascading effect which has actually sort of, you can say moderated the sentiment, and also parts of the economy which have had proximity with that have been very, very seriously and severely impacted. So that, I think, is the overall sort of thing, and because there is a cascading effect. So because it's severe, because there are some very large institutions which have got impacted, it has, the impact is sort of the ripples of that have moved all over. But I think as an institution like ICICI, which has been constantly sort of responding to the ecosystem opportunity and change, we have to sort of look at this as one of the most attractive opportunities that we have ever had. And one is also sort of, you all know that even the banking capacity has got somewhat sort of moderated in the last couple of years. This, I would say, when we look at corporates, and I have been baptized in the corporate ecosystem. The corporate ecosystem was basically doing project appraisal, sitting in the desk, making DSCR, long sort of appraisals which we used to do, which used to get cleared earlier once a month. Later on, we had a frequency which was about once in 2 weeks through CODs, which used to happen in Bombay. But I think as the whole ecosystem changed, we kept reshaping our overall, I would say, structures. But I think we kept sort of the corporate part of the business, in fact, is something, since we were born out of the corporate system, we continue to sort of look at lending as a central sort of part of our business, and had the other part of banking as a surround part of that, with lending and, I would say, appraisals at the center stage. Some of the other banks, as I said, had a different format and, a framework. In a way, if you see the early part of 90s, even the lumpy part of lending, when the first set of infrastructure projects were announced and actually executed, they actually gave that 16% IRR, which was promised. And to that extent, that period of 90s, the project implementation, in fact, many of the colleagues, Partha was a part of the team, and some of the others also were a part of those project teams. it functioned with a fairly high degree of predictability. So to that extent, we actually, once we took care of the CPs, by and large, the project moved at a certain sort of pace. And I think to that extent, our confidence in the area where we were strong actually got enhanced, and we continue to sort of, follow that path. The period of 2002-3, where some of the projects got impacted, I think the ecosystem was such that the environment was also sort of enabling. When we gave support to complete those projects, once the projects got completed, they actually gave us returns which were very, very handsome. And to that extent, that period was a very, very interesting phase of, if a project got completed, if you took care of CPs, everything sort of moved at a predictable sort of level. But this, we all know, things were moving at a certain sort of way till 2008, 2009, and after that, everything got disrupted. And all that we had learned in the first 18 or 20 years got sort of disrupted. The contracts, the sanctity of contracts, for whatever reasons, that is something which got completely opened up. And that is where I think we faced, I would say, the biggest turmoil in our sort of history, if I may put it. I really want to sort of, many of you were a part of that period, and I really want to thank you and applaud you for the way you coped up, and the way by 2013-14 we had figured out that we had to reformat, reshape, and I think the way we recalibrated ourselves has enabled us to sort of come through. And today, as we speak, ICICI today is so well placed in terms of all parameters, be it capital, brand, distribution, technology, delivery capability, customer connect. But from here, if we were to sort of look at the future, how do we sort of, do we continue working the way we were in the past, or do we sort of realize that this world has changed? And I think the realization, and I would say in fact the change which has come from within, from the ground level, that we have to completely sort of transform in keeping with the new ecosystem as it stands. The first thing that has happened when we look at the corporates is the old concept of the business houses is all gone. Today, I mean, we used to look at a few large business groups and we used to have relationships linked to that. The fact remains there are just a handful of those business groups which remain. The corporate, the project lending which is there today, the number of new projects that is happening is limited. But look at the vast sort of ecosystem which is developing in terms of the foreign funds coming into India. Each one today has under, the PE and the foreign funds, the way they're investing into India, the way they are coming now in the debt part of the business also. They are each one, like if there is, I would say, PE1, it is like I keep saying that it was like the old business house, like we used to say that Group A, Thapar Group, Birla Group. This is like one Lalaji Group equivalent with a set of companies below them. So it's important for us to sort of reshape, reorient ourselves to the ecosystem as it is changing. And I think it is very, very clear that many of these people, they are not the ones who will require the conventional capital expenditure or the capital which was required to set up the projects. They would require a very, very different form of banking. A banking which would be agile, which would take care of the needs. The service or delivery would be prompt. It would be transparent. We would have the ability to adapt to the various sort of, the differences which are there in each of the businesses, not be tightly formatted to the way an internal sort of looking or an internal inward focused format. This is something which is clearly there, and I think this, the SME, the BLG that we launched earlier, the SME that we launched yesterday, and the Marvel that we are launching today to take care of the mid-market, actually is the most appropriate response to this opportunity, because that is how the ecosystem has changed. The conventional lending or the conventional, people coming, we making those proposals which had, those 10-year statements, that is something which is a thing of the past, because we have all realized that even our risk, and I think what we have learned over a period of time is that our ability to project the future has got severely limited. So I think 12 months, as some said, that's the way we have to keep reviewing our exposures also to an entity. I think the setting up of this truly indicates or marks yet another ability of ICICI, the strength of ICICI to respond to an ecosystem opportunity which has come our way. And this format where I think it's where our sort of, you're looking at, as we said, science and art in a very, very balanced manner with the dominance of science. The dominance of science means that we will basically have a much faster throughput. We'll have minimum congestion, and we all sort of, in the discussions that we were having in the morning, we realized that the biggest, I would say, the best thing that we can do for risk mitigation is to have a decongested process, because when the process is congested, there is an automatic tendency to do lumpy proposals, because you don't have capacity. How will you get your throughput? I mean, you will tend to do lumpy if there is a high level of congestion. So the decongestion, the granularity that we are doing through this format is something which is truly laudable. The distribution format also, which I hear, where it will be linked up, we will be using the vast network of our branches, a case of outstanding synergy, as which is being displayed, collaboration, which was spoken about, I think will be in display. We are using the skill set of the best team in credit to basically deliver us, the customer-facing outcomes that are required at the most efficient speed. All these things, make me sort of feel very, very optimistic and confident that this will be actually one of the real success, and over the years, this will actually be one of the platforms which will reposition ICICI and actually give it the, the penetration, give it the sort of connect with the opportunity which is there in the ecosystem, and take us to a completely different level in terms of not only the coverage, but I would say the granularity and also income quality, which will give us a very, very different level of outcome in terms of what I call risk calibrated profit. So, all the work which has been done, once again, my heartiest congratulations. I think, as we said, the task, as he said, is now for us to start, as he said, the executing. We have done the first part. Now it is like the production has to start. And again, as he said, do this production with a cool, with a collected mind. Don't be under any pressure. Just focus on quality. If you have quality and the basis format right, scaling up becomes very easy. I always say that the most important thing is if you see the difference between projects which get implemented in time and which get delayed. Projects which get implemented in time are basically thought through very carefully. There is no rush. They are conceptualized. All the things which are required to sort of a long-term sustainability are thought through. And then you sort of go ahead and construct and complete the project. Projects which are done with just a pressure of time actually have an overrun. So I'm just telling you, do it with a cool, collected mind. We know what we are to do. We have to be fair to the bank, fair to customer in whatever we do. With that simple format, fantastic distribution, fantastic sort of connect that we have with our customers. I'm sure that this will be one of those missing, actually sort of, it's a true gap in the market. This is a part where the customers actually are not getting the service levels. And this is a gap which we will fill. And I'm sure that this will be one of the very, very important sort of businesses and a very, very high quality contributor to the risk calibrated profits for ICICI Bank. So once again, my heartiest congratulations and wishing this project great success, and 3 cheers to the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind words, sir, and thank you for sharing your vision and perspective for the mid-corporate segment. We hope that we are able to achieve all the growth aspirations that you have for all of us. On that note, I would like to conclude today's session, and with the confidence that this is just the beginning of a new transformation journey as we move on from mid-corporates to large corporates and thereon. Thank you all and have a good day. We have some refreshments served outside. We will meet you there. Thank you.